Hello, welcome back to another conference preview with the Transfer Portal CFB, always presented by NoContextCFB. Look, we might not cover the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, because straight up, those conferences are lame. Tell them, Dave, those conferences reek.
It's all about the MAC, baby. Maction. Nothing better.
There's nothing better than action. Nothing better than those Tuesday and Wednesday night games and the cold November weather. Look, we got to choose what conferences we want to preview. What do you think our first pick was? It was just straight up the MAC. Like, this is our home. And we cannot wait to inform you guys on what's to come in the 2022 season in the MAC, players to watch for, coaching changes, transfer portal quarterbacks and stuff. Like, there's a lot to dive into here in a conference that is usually, in a word, unpredictable.
Lights, camera, action. Nothing better. The most electric conference you can watch. Tuesday, Wednesday nights in the fall. I cannot wait. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Indeed, let's start with some of the top storylines as we go back to last year. The clear top storyline was Northern Illinois winning the conference after being picked to finish dead last in the West preseason media poll. They had the second least votes of any team, I think only to Akron. They go and win the conference. Like, this conference is just different from top to bottom. You never know what you're going to see. And we saw 8 of the 12 MAC teams make a bowl game in 2021. For a conference that gets so much slander, you're going out there, 8 of your 12 teams are making the bowl game. You're doing things right.
Yep, exactly. It's perfect.
And in those games, we saw Miami, Ohio beat North Texas. Western Michigan absolutely throttled a Nevada team without everyone, it seemed. Central Michigan did the unthinkable, got elevated to the Sun Bowl, did extraordinary things for the conference by being up on Washington State. Shout out Dave's guy, Lou Nichols III.
One of the most electric running backs in the country. Give him 35 touches and he'll run for 300 yards. I love him.
We're definitely going to talk a lot more about Lou.
Yeah.
We'll move on more to what happened last year in bowl play. They went 3-5 overall, but those 3 wins were dang good. Toledo fell in kind of a surprising loss to MTSU. We'll see if Toledo could get back on track this year. Northern Illinois lost that controversial thriller to a really, really good Coastal team. Again, Northern Illinois impressed a lot. They lost a heartbreaker there. Eastern Michigan got the rough end of a draw with Malik Willis and Liberty. Mm-hmm. They never had a chance in that one.
That was ugly.
That was very ugly. And then Wyoming scored 52 on Kent State amidst, some underlying issues there that we won't get into. And Georgia State slaughtered poor Ball State. But, there was just so much to be proud of in 2021. There are noble wins against Power 5 opponents, not just Central Michigan's win over Wazoo. Let's not forget, again, Northern Illinois beat Georgia Tech to open the year. You also had Bowling Green beat Minnesota, and Western Michigan went to Pitt in what's no longer called Heinz Field for money reasons. Gross, awful. But Western Michigan sliced up and carved up that Pitt defense and wins at Pitt. And we saw what Kenny Pickett and Pitt were able to do. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah, that was wild. I can't believe I was sitting at the bar watching that game, and I was like, they're going to pull this off. And they beat Pitt. It was crazy.
Sky Moore was lethal in that one. They had 6 players drafted in 2022, including Sky Moore, of course, who went 54th overall to Kansas City. Central Michigan then produced 2 day 2 picks on the offensive line, and Luke Goetke, who went 57th. Bernard Ryman went 77th. I know Toledo also had 2 players selected. It was a really good year for the MAC overall, but we've got to look to 2022, Dave. We've got to look to what's to come in this incredible conference. We'll start. There's only one new head ball coach in the MAC. It's Joe Moorhead. He's the lucky guy that has to try and rebuild Akron as he replaces Tom Arth.
Go Zips. So I think that's a super interesting hire. I don't think that's what Moorhead really envisioned when he became the head coach of Mississippi State. Going to Akron in 2022. I don't think that's really what he was expecting. Struggled at Mississippi State. Had that 1 year last year at Oregon. He was fine. I think he's a good coach. When he was at Penn State, I loved his offense. He had Trace and Saquon. I thought he did a great job. The offense would falter when Franklin took the reins. Shocking. I think he did a good job with that offense. I think he's a good offensive mind. He's just the head coach of one of the worst programs in the country. So it's going to be very interesting what he can do. Their total right now is 2.5 wins. It'll be interesting to see if they can come close to it. It's the MAC, so anything can happen. And who knows? They got a lot of turnover over there in Akron. But yeah, I think Moorhead will not do great this year, but maybe Akron can get to a bowl in the next 2-3 years. Maybe.
Yeah. And I think with Akron, like, they still have, we'll talk about them more in depth later. Like, they still have some really intriguing talent on offense, which is, kind of crazy to think about for a program that's looked to be, the 131st best in the FBS, otherwise last. Moorhead's got his work cut out for him. Again, crazy career trajectory for him. Can't believe he's at Akron. Hopefully he gets it going and builds Akron. That's going to be interesting to watch. We'll get some
playing NCAA 14 career mode, dynasty mode, basically, for Joe Moorhead.
Yes.
He's starting at Akron.
For some odd reason, he's at Akron. But some transfer portal quarterbacks, most notably maybe at Akron. Albany transfer Jeff Undercuffler is going to be gunning for the QB1 job at Akron. He threw for 4,600 yards and 51 touchdowns in his time at Albany. I think things could get very interesting between Undercuffler and now quarterback DJ Irons. I think there could be a quarterback battle there. Rutgers transfer Cole Snyder ends up at Buffalo. He has dreams of taking the QB1 job over Matt Myers. Taylor Powell, formerly of Mizzou and Troy, heads to Eastern Michigan, where he's very likely to start as QB1 day one. That's English. And then, Parker Navarro from UCF to Ohio. What do you have to say about that one?
So that's an interesting kind of little transfer that flew under the radar. I know a lot of people like Ohio. A lot of people like Ohio. I don't think Ohio is really gonna. I don't think
they're mid.
I don't think they're very good this year. Navarro left UCF. He's more of a runner. He can run the ball for sure. He ran the ball for the Golden Knights a little bit last year on some snaps. But they brought in John Reese Plumlee, the old Ole Miss QB, who would just run like crazy. So then Navarro's spot was kind of taken as the running quarterback, and now he's in Ohio, where he's slated to be the backup right now behind Curtis Rourke. Curtis Rourke is not Nathan Rourke. He's not accurate. He has trouble reading defenses, and I think mid-season Navarro will get a shot to play. I'm sure we'll be watching him Wednesday nights in November. It's just kind of intriguing to me to see what he can do in Ohio, going from UCF, which is a pretty solid Group of 5 team. But yeah, I think Navarro will get a chance to start for Bobcats.
Love that call already. We haven't even got to the bold prediction segment, but Parker Navarro taking the Rourke legacy and ending it. Oof. And then you also have former Alabama walk-on Stone Hollenbach as he transfers to Western Michigan. They lose Caleb Elby. Now there's going to be a 3-man competition for a starting job. That's going to be weird.
Yeah, Western Michigan, I'm going to get into Western Michigan a little bit later, but they were riding high last year with LB Moore and that just incredible fire-powered offense, and they only won, I think, 6 games. They were very disappointing at the stretch.
They underachieved for sure.
And now they're kind of resetting. They have guys returning, but they have you could say a 2-3-man quarterback competition now, and the way the MAC goes, your starter could not be your starter week 3. So I'm interested to see who the starting quarterback at Western Michigan will be start the season.
Truer words have never been said in a conference with so much turnover at quarterback, quite literally and figuratively. Let's talk about some breakout players, though. I'll talk about my first guy. I'll let you talk about your two, and then I'll get to my last guy. I got to start with Kent State quarterback Colin Schlee.
Stole mine.
Sean Lewis has another magnificent quarterback at the helm. Schlee is a blossoming star, and he's going to soar at a high level this year. His future is super bright as well. He'll be throwing it all over the field to excellent receivers everywhere. He'll even run the ball over defenders as well, as we've already seen before. He's literally the perfect MAC quarterback. If you were to go into a laboratory and try and build the perfect MAC quarterback, you'd get Colin Schlee. I think a lot of people thought of that with Crum too. Kind of a Kent State thing going on at the old quarterback factory. But, I mean, he's what you want for Tuesday night action, right? He's going to be a star one day. Many people don't know that yet, but Dave and I straight up know Colin Schlee is him.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit more about Colin Schlee because that was my first breakout player that you stole, and I'm going to look for a second one. But, yeah, Dustin Crum's footsteps going to be a little bit tough, but he has the potential to be more electric than Crum was. He uses his legs a lot more. He's very fast. He's got a strong arm. And that Kent State offense is absolutely electric. And I think Schlee will continue to make it as electric as it was last year, maybe even more electric, because he's going to keep defenses on their toes with running the ball. And I cannot wait for Kent State. I'm going to go on Kent State a little bit later. I'm very high on the Golden Flashes this year. So I guess now for my first breakout player, we're supposed to be my second breakout player.
Oh, this could be your second.
This could be my second? All right. So I'm going with Mac Hippenhammer from Miami of Ohio, another old Penn State Lion. I liked Hippenhammer at Penn State. Didn't really get his tick. Didn't play a lot, but he has good hands. Last year, 48 receptions, 786 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I think with Brett Gabbert, who is a top-tier MAC quarterback, Hippenhammer's going to blossom this year. I think he's going to be one of the best receivers in the conference, and I think he's going to just light up these defenses.
This is really interesting because Dave and I just didn't talk about what our breakout players or anything else were. He had Colin Schlee. I had Colin Schlee. He has a Miami of Ohio offensive player for his second breakout. I have a Miami of Ohio defensive player for my second breakout. So I'm sorry to you MAC fans, but apparently for our 4 breakout players, we're only covering 2 schools in this deep conference. Jacquez Warren, defensive back at Miami of Ohio, is one of my breakout players. He's a versatile DB that is going to see a lot more playing time in 2022 after Miami of Ohio lost several key members of their defense and secondary, including a star in Sterling Weatherford, who played DB, but literally everywhere as well. I think you're going to see Warren kind of take on that role of playing absolutely everywhere. He played in 11 games last year. He made 7 starts. He collected 43 tackles, had an interception as well. The interception was a game-sealing one in their bowl game. It wasn't game-sealing, but it kind of put the nail in the coffin against North Texas. He baited Austin on into making a terrible throw in the end zone, and he took advantage of it. Used his eyes very well to bait the quarterback. I think he moves his feet very well. He's got good range too. I think Jacquez Warren is someone to expect big things from in 2022 and beyond. He's going to be my second breakout player. We'll move on. We'll move on to Maction then. For other conference previews on our channel, it might just be, talking about, they might just be called the best players in your opinion or your favorites. Nah, Maction men. It sticks. Dave, who are your 3 Maction men?
My 3 Maction men. So I'm going to start off with, from the beautiful gray fields of Eastern Michigan, I'm going with Hassan Beydoun. He is 5'8", but he is an absolute stud. With Khalil Pimpleton gone, you could say he's the best receiver in the conference. He is a great route runner, great hands. Just the only thing that worries me is their quarterback play. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be whether it be Taylor Powell, a transfer who's gone all over the place, or whether it be a true freshman. I don't know. If you get him the ball, he's going to be unreal. Second Maction Man. He's the Maction Man. He's Maction Man himself, Lou Nichols. We talked about him before. We'll talk about him some more. He's so much fun to watch. And the Central Michigan, they lost 2 big linemen, as you brought up before, to the draft, but they restocked, and I'm not worried about them. They just keep ground and pounding with Lou Nichols. He is going to have another career year. I think, once again, he'll lead the country in rushing yards. And my third Maction Man. I'm going to go with another Miami of Ohio Redhawk, Brett Gabbert. I said before, Brett Gabbert's awesome. He really has no relation to Blaine Gabbert, by the way. I've looked that up a lot. Not related. Gabbert, when I watch Miami of Ohio, because I'm a sicko, I'll watch every Maction game. He is probably one of the best passers in the conference, and I think that he's going to continue. This is his third year starter, second or third year. I think it's his third year, but he's going to be awesome. He's going to light up these defenses. Their defense might be an issue, but I think Brett Gabbert's going to be great this year.
Where did you look up that they're not related?
I've looked up before. Are they related?
Yeah, they're brothers.
They are.
Yeah.
Really? I read that wrong.
He is 100% Blaine's brother.
Damn, I was thinking about another Gabbert then. All right, so that's why. All right, my bad. Brett Gabbert's awesome.
This just makes Brett Gabbert so much.
That makes me like Brett Gabbert even more now.
Exactly.
I guess I just read that wrong somewhere. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. For my Maction Men, look, I knew you were going to talk about Lou, so I had to leave him off this, but Toledo quarterback Dequan Finn, absolutely electric. I think he's in for a massive 2022. Got to go back to Kent State, running back Marquez Cooper might, he's undersized. He might just be a lot smaller than the bio on the Kent State website says, but again, electric, dynamic receiving ability as well, as shifty as they get in this conference. Love watching Cooper carve up defenses. And then my guy at Northern Illinois, former walk-on Trayvon Rudolph, had a nasty 2-game stretch last year, including one where he had over 300 receiving yards in a game. He could straight up play. If Rocky Lombardi wasn't his quarterback, I think Rudolph would be a lot happier. But hey, what?
Hey, Rocky won a MAC championship.
He did indeed, and
Rocky,
and what was truly a sicko's offense.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to what everyone wants to know, Dave. Do you think a MAC team can beat a Power 5 team in non-conference play?
I don't. So I'm sure you saw this also on the schedule. Northern Illinois is going to beat Vanderbilt. It just, I don't know if that counts.
It counts.
But that's going to happen. If Northern Illinois is somehow a dog, you take that money line immediately, take the spread, whatever. Northern Illinois will beat up Vanderbilt. So, I mean, I was quick over that. I think this game, I went through them all. Some team, you got Georgia, Tennessee, a lot of tough out of conference schedules, but that's just a MAC. They get paid to get beat up. Central Michigan plays Penn State. I might actually go to that game.
You gotta see your guy.
I'll be terrified the whole time, but I think Penn State will win that game. This game that caught my eye was Miami of Ohio at Northwestern. I think that Northwestern is a lot worse than people are thinking this year. I think Miami, Ohio is a very, very solid squad. It'll be close. I mean, Western Michigan beat Pitt last year. Bowling Green beat Minnesota. I think Miami of Ohio can beat Northwestern. I think that's very possible.
I definitely agree with you. I definitely think MAC team beats another Power 5 team, even if it's in addition to what we think is almost a guarantee. Northern Illinois over Vandy and DeKalb. Like, they got that game at home. I think Northern Illinois, we'll pencil that one in as a win because we have to, disrespect Vandy because that's kind of one of the rules as a college football fan. And 2, this is a MAC preview show. So, if a team is playing Vanderbilt, we're going to give them the auto win. So NIU's got that locked up. But like you're saying, it's brutal games all across the board. But that unpredictability could absolutely shock you and all these other college football fans. I think there's going to be one that we aren't even mentioning or thinking of that they'll pick off a Power 5 team and we'll be like, what on earth? How did Toledo beat Ohio State? Okay, maybe not that, but
well, Tulsa almost got them last year through 3 quarters. They were playing with them, and then they blew them out.
That was absolutely bizarre.
Ohio State's going to put up 70 points against Toledo, probably. Toledo might score 40, but that game's going to be a shootout.
Hey, that game is good for one man, Dequan Finn, who is going to get, who is definitely going to play well, you'd hope, and will, a lot of college football fans will finally get acclimated with the Dequan Finn experience. Let's look at some top in-conference games. What's the first game that you're looking forward to?
So this isn't necessarily a good game. I just personally am excited for this one. Bowling Green versus Akron. Not a good game at all. Absolutely terrible. That's action at its purest form. That's what it's going to be. Did they release the date yet for that? I have to check real quick. I don't think they have, but if they have,
I'm sure they have a date. I didn't write down that date though.
It's not. It's a Saturday game. 3:30. That should be a CBS game. But yeah, that's just a pure action chaos game. I'm excited. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna bet it, and I'm gonna be like, why did I do that to myself? But it's gonna be great. I think Akron gets one there. The Joe Moorhead experience.
I think Akron is also a scary threat to win that game and maybe win another one that people don't know. The first game I'm looking forward to isn't sick at all in the fact that Sicko's committee will be loving it. It's sick in the fact that college football fans should be watching this game because it's Kent State at Toledo. You can make the case that these are 2 of the best teams in the conference. The only unfortunate part about this showdown is that it's on a Saturday. That's gross. Why are you playing on Saturday? Gross, dude. Ugh. Toledo has a nasty 5-game stretch, though, that I'll talk about more later. And this game is the final in that stretch. It could very well be a preview of the MAC title game as well. I think Kent State Toledo is a must-watch if you're a MAC fan.
Yep, I had that game as well. Kent State Toledo at the Glass Bowl. I think that's a huge matchup. And that's kind of sets the tone of that's going to prove to you who is a contender for the conference, Kent State or Toledo. And whoever comes out with that game will have a good chance of getting to Detroit. So I'll go to my other game that you might have picked. I'm sure you picked this one: Central Michigan and Northern Illinois. Yep. I think whoever wins that game will win the division. Those are the 2 best teams in the division, in my opinion, and it's not really that close. They are on the top tier, and everyone else is kind of underneath them. That's going to be a great game, another ground and pound game. It'll be interesting to see Rocky Lombardi try to keep up with the Central Michigan offense because I think Richardson's a better quarterback than Lombardi, and Lou Nichols is going to be Lou Nichols. He's going to run the ball 30 times, and he's going to try to get 250 yards.
Yeah, and look, we haven't even got to talk about him. Richardson's fantastic.
Richardson's awesome. Yeah, we haven't even brought him up. He's so good.
There's just so much amazing talent in this conference that we haven't gotten the chance to speak about. And when we go more in depth on each team, we will share all these action men. Of course, yes, I did write down Central Michigan and Northern Illinois. First thing that stands out, November 2nd, it's on a Wednesday. I think maybe they dodged the World Series. I know that the Thursday there's a World Series game. Maybe they dodged the World Series here. I don't know. Baseball stinks. Sorry, Manfred. You're awful. Sorry, Manfred's awful. This game, again, could be a significant battle when it comes down to the race for the West. Throw this game on national TV on a Wednesday night in DeKalb. ESPN. Who knows what could happen?
That'll be maybe the only MACtion game that people that aren't MAC fans like us, they'll just put it on football on Wednesday. They'll be like, this is actually a good game. Like, it's going to be a good football game.
They're tuning in for a good game, and they're not tuning in for backwards punts.
Yeah, like this will be a good game. I'm sure there'll be a backwards punt or a terrible fumble because, that's just what happens. But it's going to be a very good football game.
It's going to be really fun. And then naturally, I chose a disgusting game. It's not your Bowling Green Akron, but it is Akron hosting Eastern Michigan November 8th, again, a Tuesday. Must watch. It wouldn't be right if I didn't highlight one of these, horrific, bleak, low-light games. It's Akron's only weekday action game this year as well, which is shocking that the poor Zips don't get more love on national TV in November. It's a must-see contest for sickos enthusiasts like Dave and I. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a fun game. Eastern Michigan has a receiver trio that rivals other group of 5 programs. Like their receiver trio led by Hassan Beydoun is absolutely dynamite. I hate that word, but I have to say it is.
It is.
Okay. Now we could actually talk about MAC tiers. We could talk about what we tiered these teams. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the East, and then we'll talk about the West. But first, the only tier that we need to discuss with one team, the Akron tier, Dave.
Like we said before, it's just, it's a rebuild. It's a complete rebuild. I said it, I don't know if anybody's ever read, I wrote a whole article about a MAC preview. So I kind of.
Please go read that, y'all.
I can read my Akron thing real quick. Let me. So what fascinated me, I said this in the article, is that the Akron number is at 2.5. So I think they get a game against St. Francis. They won that first game, obviously. And then I think they beat Bowling Green, like I said before. And then all you got to do is get another game. Just get another game. This is for the hot take portion of bringing it up now, just because I'm so excited about it. I'm taking the over Akron 2.5 wins at plus money. And I'm just going to root for Akron all year. I'm just going to be an Akron fan. I want Akron merchandise. Akron, if anybody from Akron ever sees this, I'm going to tweet at you too. I want a shirt, a hat. I want something. I'm going to be an Akron fan this year because it's just chaos. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to see what Moorhead's going to do with this team. But I think they can get 3 wins. I think it's possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Will it happen? Probably not, but it's just fun to root for them.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, there's talent on this offense that needs to be discussed. But first things first, obviously things at Akron aren't good. But look, Dave and I know that. You listening, you already know that. But maybe things could get a bit better in this Joe Moorhead era. We'll see. I do expect that quarterback battle eventually between DJ Irons and Albany transfer Jeff Undercuffler. Mm-hmm. I think Undercuffler eventually wins. I just think he's just a better pure thrower of the ball, and I think that Moorhead's going to lean to that. The Zips offense shows a bit of promise when Undercuffler plays. I'll make that claim right now. And Cam Wiley's a Minnesota transfer at running back. He's going to be an excellent piece for this Akron team that desperately needs that. They need a dependable running back to lead on, like straight up. That's a necessity in MAC.
I don't know the last time they had a guy like that they could depend on to run the ball.
Yeah,
I really don't.
And they lost their brightest star, unfortunately, in Kanata Mutfield at receiver because he left for Pitt, and who wouldn't leave for Pitt from Akron? No brainer, dude. He had a stellar freshman campaign, but ironically, the guy who's going to look to kind of replace what his production was is another Pitt transfer. It's Shockey Jacques Louis. What a name. What a name.
All name team right there.
I'm actually really looking forward to watching Shockey Jacques Louis play. And then you have Tony Grimes and Josiah Gathings as well, who are going to try and help out plenty. They've got talent on offense. It's just all about finding a run game that they haven't had. And Cam Wiley is going to do that, and then figuring out between Irons and Undercuffler who's going to be the guy at quarterback who is going to consistently play. You don't want rotations. You don't want starting different quarterbacks, different weeks, benching guys. You don't want that. I trust Moorhead to do the right things, though. And as you look at the defense, talented pieces still. Charles Amonquois at cornerback snagged 3 interceptions last year. Just Lord Boateng is a pretty good linebacker as well. They also have a really experienced defense. They might be getting cooked in previous years, but maybe they put together, who knows. As for the schedule that you've talked about, St. Francis, PA is a definite win. Like, congrats. That's the one game that we could truly say is a win. They take road trips to Michigan State, Tennessee, and Liberty. Get the bag. Just get the bag, Akron.
That Liberty game is interesting, though. They're going to get beat by Liberty because Charlie Brewer's good, but I think it's not as – they're going to get smoked. They're going to get smoked.
Yeah.
I think I'm just being too high on Akron.
Maybe. But on the conference schedule, the most likely win, like you said, is Bowling Green on October 1st. The vibes could be so catastrophically low after that road trip, though, for Akron, that they just aren't motivated to play football.
Yeah, they're going to get beat by a good combined 80 points against Michigan State and Tennessee. That's going to be bad.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not in the locker room.
I'll be rooting for them, though, the whole way.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe they win at Ohio the week after, because that's also a winnable game.
It's possible. And then they go on a terrible stretch. Central Michigan, Kent State, Miami, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they steal Eastern Michigan. They could steal Eastern Michigan, Buffalo, or Ohio, I think. They could steal any of those games. But yeah, for my bank account, hopefully they do.
Yeah, you're going with 3 wins minimum. Maybe it's 6 or 9 or 12.
Could shock the world.
Look, we'll just say that, and if it happens, we'll clip it later. Like, yeah, we dotted Akron winning 9 games. Who else did that? But no chance I'm actually predicting them to win a set number of games. I just hope that Moorhead gets things looking bright into 2023.
Yeah. Play close game.
Yes, we'll go to our East tier. We'll go ABC order. ABC order. We're not saying Bowling Green is winning the East, y'all. We're not saying that. Bowling Green, though, Dave, what do you got on them?
I want to like them. I really, really do, because I don't know why. When I was a kid, started like I said before, the NCAA 12 dynasty. I was the Bowling Green offensive coordinator. Try to build my way up. The offense struggled last year. Matt McDonald, their quarterback, he just has to be better. I think he will be. He showed some poise in some games, but also again, it's the Mac, unpredictable. He had his moments where he would just throw the ball on the ground, would get pitter-patter feet when the rush was coming and get scared. But I think that if he's better, they will be better. They'll play close games, but they also have a terrible start to the year. They'll beat Eastern Kentucky, they'll get smoked by UCLA, Mississippi State, and then they'll get beat by Marshall. But it's just tough to give them more than 3 wins. It really is, because they have, again, just like Akron, it's a tough stretch. They have, let's see here, Buffalo, Miami of Ohio, Central Michigan, Western Michigan. They could maybe steal Buffalo and Western Michigan. I don't think they're beating Kent State or Toledo, and they could beat Ohio, but I just don't see it possible for them. I have them at 3. The number's 3.5. It's going to come down to the last week against Ohio. But yeah, I got that under 3.5.
It's just like they're in the basement.
Yeah,
they're in the basement, and Akron's in the dirt.
Yeah, and then if Akron does beat Bowling Green like we're predicting, then
Akron is in the basement.
I think Akron comes in the basement. Yeah.
Also, with McDonald, his throwing motion a few years ago, I think it's got a little better, was the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah. It just looked weird. It definitely did get better, because he was.
It got better, but it still looks bad.
Yeah. He's a prime. If you were to take Frankenstein's monster Matt quarterback, it's Matt McDonald.
Oh, that's not something you want to hear if you're McDonald.
I'm confident he'll be better this year. I really do think he'll improve.
I know, guaranteed. This isn't a hot take or a bold prediction or anything. It's just a guarantee. Big Cat will tweet about Mac McDonald this year 3 times.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
And look, it's an ultra important season for Scott Loeffler because he's 7-22 with just 4 MAC wins in his 3 years at Bowling Green. If it goes as you're saying, he's probably gone, which unfortunate because I think he's a talented coach. It's just talented coaches go to the MAC and they start these awful programs, and it takes a while to build up. And I don't know. I think he's probably canned after a bad year. There's some good things. I love running back Terrion Stewart. On just 70 carries in 9 games last season, he was able to build off. He had a really good year, and he only had 3 games in 2020 where he performed at a high level. But look, he's put together 2 dang good years at Bowling Green, 107 carries. Numbers are tough for me. For 707 rushing yards and 9 touchdowns. Just get this man the ball more and let him do work. You're getting both your receivers, your leading receivers back from last year's team, Austin Osborne and Tyrone Broden. I think Broden is pretty good. He had 36 catches to Osborne's 64, but he did rack up 596 yards and 5 touchdowns to Osborne's 546 and 2. Broden boasts higher yards per catch mark, obviously. And he's a 6'4" receiver that wins deep with the slick combination of size and speed. You have to get Broden the ball more if you're Mac McDonald. That should be the number one thing written, I don't know, probably on your door in your room so that when you leave your room, you see throw the ball to Broden is there and you're reminded like, oh, hey, I have a unicorn in the Mac at receiver. Let me get him the ball ASAP so I look good. Please do that. You already talked a bunch about McDonald's, so I won't.
Yeah. Weird. He'll be. I'm going to look out for him this year. I want to see if I'm right about him being a little better.
He has really strong skill players surrounding him.
Yeah, he does. Just get them the ball. I mean, don't make it just be a Tanner Morgan, be a poor man's Tanner Morgan. Just run the offense and get it to your guys.
On defense, there's literally only one bright spot, in my opinion. It's Jordan Anderson, who's a legit safety that jumps off the screen when you watch Bowling Green play. 4 interceptions and 15 pass breakups in 3 seasons. Think he's the lone stud on defense. And they look to pull another upset this season. Again, they beat Minnesota last year. We don't know how. If they end up beating UCLA, our very own Andrew Wilson will not let me hear the end of it because I haven't let him hear the end of Minnesota losing to BG. Oh, man. Like you said, though, they play UCLA and Mississippi State 0-2 right there. You would think hosting Marshall is very odd.
Weird game, for sure. Yeah. There's a bunch of those weird games this year. Like, we got some guys, a couple teams are playing UMass. I think UMass just go back into the MAC like they were 10 years ago. Marshall Bowling Green is a very strange game.
It is, and I previewed the Sun Belt as well. Yeah. I previewed the Sun Belt as well, and I have high hopes for Marshall. I think there's anywhere for 6 to 10 wins on their schedule. They're going to be a weird team, though, so go check that out in a few days. But
yeah,
this ain't about Marshall. This ain't about the Randy Moss Mac days. The schedule's interesting, man. They go to Akron. You've got to beat Akron. You get Buffalo and Miami, Ohio in the following weeks. You're looking for 2-1 there. You're probably not going to get it, though.
Yeah.
In November, you're playing 4 weekday action games. 2 are on Wednesday, 2 are on Tuesday. You host Western Michigan and Kent State on Wednesdays. Roadies to end the regular season at Toledo and at Ohio on Tuesday. How many wins do they get? You're saying 3?
They could get 4, I think.
I say 4. I'll go 4. I'll bite the bullet.
I have Eastern Kentucky. I think they'll beat Ohio. And then I don't know, you could say Akron, Western Michigan.
Yeah, I'll go 4. It's a gross 4, though. It's not very impressive.
It's a very, very hard tough 4 for them.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to Buffalo, who saw a decline in their program last year with everything that happened in April. Instead of getting into it, let's just get into what's to come for Buffalo, Dave.
So I actually have Buffalo in finishing in 3rd in the division. I know they took a huge step back when they lost. I mean, Patterson went to the NFL. Tyree Jackson went to the NFL. They lost Dylan McDuffie and Kyle Van Treese, which is not great for them. I know they run the ball first, but I think Marcus Lindquist, their head coach, I think he's going to have more of a grip on what he wants to do this year. I think he'll have his guys. They'll be confident in him. And I think it's going to be run first. So they got to look for Ron Cook. Ron Cook was mostly a special teams guy. He's very fast. He can cut. But it's kind of a running back by committee, and they don't have a guy that's been a starter. So it's going to be interesting, but I think that they'll be able to run the ball. I think they'll be a lot better. I have them at 6-6 this year. Their total's at 5.5. I have them just getting over it. They're out of conference. Again, tough. They got 2 tough games. Maryland, I don't think they'll beat Maryland. Holy Cross.
No, Maryland's trio of receivers, by the way, speaking of trio of receivers at EMU, Maryland is nasty at receiver.
Yeah. They'll beat Holy Cross.
They're going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting. I mean, Maryland's going to put up points against them. Holy Cross, they'll beat Coastal. I am in love with this year. They're going to get beat by Coastal. And then they play UMass, which is an auto win for anybody who sees UMass in your schedule. And then I have them. They're not going to be as good as they were a couple of years ago, but I think 6-6 is pretty fair to give them. Just having them start at 2-2 and splitting their last 8 games at 4-4. I think it's very possible for them to get 6 wins.
Yeah, so there's just plenty of turnover on this roster. Like, do you know how many starters they return? 9.
9, yeah.
9 starters. Like, ugh. And we don't even know who's going to be a quarterback. Will it be Rutgers transfer Cole Snyder? Is it going to be Matt Myers? I don't even know who I'd rather see. I need to see both of them actually play before I make a decision.
Yeah.
The Buffalo run game's been good for so long, but they lose their top 2 rushers from last year. They turn to your guy, as you said, Ron Cook Jr., ran for 440 on 88 carries in 2021. There's some moves that they made at receiver, adding Justin Marshall from Louisville, who played pretty well in limited reps there. Booby Curry, who I had high hopes for at Arizona, joins the mix at Buffalo. I think he's got plenty of talent. He just hasn't been able to put it together. Those could be 2 guys that you're looking at Buffalo and you're like, why are they at Buffalo? Like, those are 2 superbly talented receivers. Let's see if they can put it together. But you're putting them in a room with Max Stud Keon Williams. That Keon Williams is scary, scary good. You've just got to get that guy the ball. Whoever wins the quarterback 1 job, got to know. Get Key on the ball. Get Key on the ball. Get Key on the ball. You're looking to get plenty of targets going his way. Possible NFL future for Keon Williams. I do think that the potential that this offense has is pretty solid. As long as the new O-line meshes quickly and they figure it out, quarterback, they can put up some points. Like, I like what they have.
I think they'll bounce back. I really do.
I do too. On defense, James Patterson is a monster at linebacker. The defense has a plethora of transfers, including Elijah Blades at corner, who has played at Arizona, Western, CC, Texas A&M, and Florida. You know, maybe you like that experience of playing everywhere. It could be valuable for this Buffalo defense. Then, as you said on the schedule, you don't want to play 3 road games in your first month. They do. Trips to Maryland, Coastal, and Eastern Michigan highlight September. Sharpie in the win against Holy Cross, though, for sure. You get Miami of Ohio, Toledo, and Kent State at home.
Which is good.
That's a huge plus. You got to think that.
That's the travel, too. It's just like Buffalo's kind of out of the way for all these teams are playing in the Midwest. They're playing in Ohio, Kentucky, and then you got to go out to Buffalo where it's going to be 5 degrees. It's just the travel is going to kind of beat you up. But They could. They'll win. They'll win. I can't say for sure which ones they'll win, but I think they'll get 2 of those.
I also think they'll get 2. I think they'll catch one of those teams slipping there for sure. And I'll give them Miami of Ohio. And I'll say they get Toledo or Kent State. And then as for you sickos, here's what you'll see for Buffalo in action November. They're playing at Ohio on Tuesday, November 1st, and at Central Michigan on Wednesday, November 9th. And then that's it for them, just those 2 weekday games. But despite all the players lost and new players coming in, I like how the schedule sets up for them. Again, Maryland and coastal road trips are going to help prepare them for the MAC schedule. I'll proudly pencil Maurice Linguist's squad in for a bowl game in 22, as you did as well.
Yep. It'll probably be an early one, New Mexico Potato Bowl. We'll see. But, yeah, I'll pencil him for a bowl game as well.
Let's talk about Kent State.
Kent State. I am so excited about Kent State. Like we said, Colin Schley. Everyone's – I think their total is 5.5. If it's 5, the Vegas total came out at 5. And that's just incredible. Like, I know that the defense was a mess last year. I know they lost Dustin Crum. I know Schley isn't a proven starter, but I really think that Schley is going to come out, immediately be a top guy in the conference. I think the defense, you can't be worse than you were last year. They're going to put it together. They're going to figure it out. They're going to find their mistakes. And I have them winning the division and going 8-4. I do. I think that they're just going to be so much fun to watch again. If they're on, I forget, I don't know which games are on their MAC games, but if they're on TV,
I'll get into that.
You're going to want to watch them because they're going to put up 30. I think they're going to average 38 to 45 points a game. I really do. I think they're just going to go out there and just put up points. The defense will be better, which will get them to the title game again because it has to be better. It has to be better, especially with Miami, Ohio up your butt. But yeah, I have them going 8-4, 7-1 the conference. I have them 8-4, but I have them starting 1-3 because they're out of conferences. Like it's very, very tough. I have it. 1 second, I lost it. Yeah, so it's Washington, Georgia, and Oklahoma. Are there 3? And they play LIU. LIU. I know people that play for LIU. They're not good. Yeah, they're going to
also one of the worst rebrands in college history.
Oh, dude, it's the LIU Sharks. There are no Sharks here. Like
Blackbirds was sick.
Yeah. So what they did was it was the LIU off. We're going off the rails for a second. It was LIU Brooklyn, which was the Blackbirds, and then LIU Post, CW Post, which was the Pioneers. So they combined the 2 campuses into one LIU school. They still have the 2 campuses, but they took the best players from they took the LIU Post football team was FCS, and they brought them to they were D2. They brought them up to FCS. And then the LIU basketball team, which is LIU Brooklyn, they just are the LIU Sharks now. But that's my LIU rant. Yeah, they play Washington, Georgia, and Oklahoma. That's just kind of mean that they would do that to them because, again, morale is would worry me. Getting smacked 3 times. That Oklahoma game, though, is going to be a lot of fun. The total is going to be high 70s, and it's going to go over for sure.
Yeah, like they also played at Texas A&M and Iowa last year. Kent State's not afraid to go secure the bag and prepare their team for MAC play. I love that.
Yeah, I don't think it should be either. I'm very high on them.
Look, it's time to buckle up. I think this is as good a time as I am to say, hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe and get ready for some Kent State praise. Dave said last week in a group DM, I'm going to yell at Liam when he tells me Kent State is going to have a down year. Dave, why would you say that? I love Kent State, man.
I'm so high on them.
I love this team, man. 5 as the win total. Clip this in December if we're wrong. 5 as a win total is a slap in the face to the players on this team.
It's so low.
It's so low.
That's fantastic value. The 5, they're going to win at least 8. They could have won 9.
I would argue it's one of the best values on the market right now for college football futures.
1,000,000,000%.
Yeah, so the Dustin Crum era comes to an end. It was an electric time, and we cherish those moments. But it's a good thing for Kent State, man. It really is. Look, they get Colin Schlee. They don't have to wait for good quarterback play like a lot of other MAC teams do when they lose a legend. They're getting right back into it. And Schlee projects to be a Maxion like GOAT. Like he is dang good. He's seen time already in 2 seasons. He's playing 2021 where he completed 17 and 24 passes for 238 yards and a touchdown. The 6'3" tank is a menace on the ground, just like Crum was, and he'll provide plenty of gritty carries for this program. What I love with Schlee is that they've prepared him for this time, the time where he was getting the QB1 job. He's already played in 11 games. He's already been thrown out there in hostile environments. Like I said, he's played at A&M in Iowa already. What else is he to be scared of? And he's got those brutal road games coming up this year. There's nothing for him to be afraid of when they get into the Maxion part of the schedule. I expect massive things from Schlee. I think he's going to be insanely good. And they play an up-tempo offense that already has talent everywhere at their skill positions. I've talked about Marquez Cooper, who is that dude. He is a Maxion man, 5'6", if that, running back, carries the heavy workload, does absolute lethal damage, 1.2K rush yards last year, 10 touchdowns as well, and 241 totes. He's shifty, he's slippery, he's a tough tackle, superb athlete. And Xavier Williams is another stellar running back as well. He went for 6.5 yards per carry in 2021. He hit 8 YPC in 2020. Like, these guys are really good. That's what you want, especially in the MAC. You want a 1-2 running back punch that you can depend on. They'll inflict damage on the ground. And then how do you not like get extremely excited when you talk about these Kent State receivers? Dante Cephas, the breakout star of 2021. He torched defenses for 1,200 receiving yards on 82 grabs last year, 9 touchdowns to boot, explosive speed, journey to the NFL. He'll be there soon enough. And Jay-Sean Polk is going to have a bigger role in this offense. You got to be aware of the 6'3" burner in North Carolina transfer, Devontae Walker. Look out for that kid, man. That's someone who's going to step up. These guys are just good.
Yep. They're good football players. The five is borderline. It's crazy.
Slap in the face.
This team can win the conference. They could win it. I really do think they can. We'll talk about that later.
I do too.
But I'm so excited. Plus 800, Liam, to win it.
The only question of the offense is the offensive line. Are they going to be able to step up and protect Schlee? Because Crum was having nightmares last year at times with the O-line. But if the O-line figures it out, returning some guys, experience is important. Sky's the limit for the offense. The flashes are electric. On defense, it hasn't been anything to be proud of in the Sean Lewis era. They're getting a really good DC, though, in Jeremiah Johnson, who did impeccable work at Northern Iowa since 2013. His FCS defenses were outstanding. So he has the job of having to turn this bad defense into a competent one in 2022. If they're confident, it's scary to think about what Kent State could do, man. It's so scary. If these guys listen to Johnson's philosophies, golly. Again, always play a tough non-conference schedule. You're talking about road games to Washington, Oklahoma, and Georgia. That is, without a doubt, the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. It's no mistake. It's not up for debate.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be prepared. Hopefully, I think they'll compete in the first half, and then they'll probably wind up faltering. But I mean, they could get, not Georgia, but like they could keep Washington close. Honestly,
what I love is what these games are about, and they schedule them years ago and everything. But it's these 3 games, the 3 styles of play that they're going up against are perfect for this offense. They're perfect tests. It was a gift that if you're going to play a gauntlet like this, they got three teams that they've got to be happy about. What has Washington been doing? They've been producing elite talent at secondary year after year after year. They've got more talent in that secondary again on that defense. A really good test for this offense. Like, this is perfect. Brent Venables is at Oklahoma now. All of his defensive philosophies. He's a guru defensively. Another perfect test. Georgia. NFL guys are everywhere. They're coming off a historic year defensively. You get to face them. It's another really valuable experience to learn from. It's perfect what happened. And you'll go into Max and play Tuesday, November 1st, sickos. Watch them shred Ball State. They've got a roadie to Bowling Green on Wednesday, November 9th, and then Wednesday, November 16th game versus Eastern Michigan. It's not very good Maction games, but it's good in the sense that they're going to score 40 or 50.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be electric.
And the toughest stretch at MAC play is back-to-back road trips against Miami of Ohio and Toledo. You want to split that 1-1. You want to make sure that you get the Miami of Ohio game. Most importantly, that's a lot more significant than the Toledo one. But yeah, man, I'm very high on the offense. 5 is a slap in the face. They could win 7 or 8 games. They'd make a run at the East Crown by losing just 1 or 2 conference games. The most important game on their schedule is Miami of Ohio. Win that, we'll see you in the MAC championship, right, Dave?
100%.
Let's talk about Miami, Ohio now.
Yeah, so, we've been talking about Miami for a little bit now, how we're high on Gabbert, Blaine Gabbert's brother. I'm not going to forget that now. And Matt Kippenhammer. The defense, they got lit up twice last year. They got shredded by Ohio and Kent State. But, who's not going to get shredded by Kent State last year? But then they held their own. They had some solid games. Gabbert did his thing, but a lot of key pieces left. And I have them second in the division. I think they're going to have another good year, but that defense could be an issue because Gabbert's going to sling it. Hippenhammer's going to catch it. They're going to have a very good offense. But I have them going 7-5, and I have them losing that game to Kent State, which puts Kent State in the division champion, the conference championship. Excuse me. They're at a conference schedule again. It's tough. They got two tough games. Cincinnati, Kentucky. Kentucky, you blow them out. Cincinnati, they could play Cincinnati close, I think, again in the first half. It'll be one of those games because Cincinnati, I don't know. I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year. I'm interested. They'll have a great defense again, but the offense could regress. Robert Morris they'll beat, and they could beat Northwestern. Like we said before, I think that could be a win for them. But yeah, Miami, Ohio is another team I'm pretty high on. I don't think I can be higher on any team I am in the country as I am on Kent State. But yeah, Miami's going to have a very nice season. That game against Kent State is going to be absolutely pivotal for them.
Indeed it will. Again, fan favorite Brett Gabbert is back. Everyone loves watching him play, and he proved the haters wrong in 2021 by not only winning a bowl game, boasting a touchdown interception ratio of 26-6. That's pretty dang good. And you're talking about Mac Hippenhammer. He's going to need to be massive this year because they're losing star receiver Jack Sorensen. Hippenhammer is someone that Dave is projecting a breakout year for. I see a significant 2022 for him. Buy stock in Mac Hippenhammer right now. Jalen Walker returns as well. He'll have an increased role this year and catch much more than just 31 passes. Multiple running backs return, most notably Keon Mosey is back. Expect him to carry the load there. They have a really good offensive line, too, that will pave the way for Mosey and co. They returned 4 starters on what was one of the very best, arguably the best offensive line in the MAC, probably a battle between them and NIU for that crown. The defense was amazing last year, too. They returned 6 starters and have very important players to replace. I've talked about Weatherford being gone. Jacquez Warren, you got to go out there and prove me right, man. I expect big things from Warren, but there's other really cool players on this defense, too, that are going to need to step up. the schedule's tough. It's not the same daunting gauntlet that our beloved Kent State Golden Flashes have. You're playing at Kentucky and Northwestern. You get Cincy at what is a neutral site game at Paul Brown Stadium where the Bengals play. I think an ultra important game to grab is at Buffalo on October 1st because Kent State is the following week and the brutal non-conference stretches before that. You need to grab the Buffalo game so that we're projecting 2-3 or 3-2 instead of 1-4, 2-3, right? Like that depends on Northwestern, and but yeah. Buffalo's a super important game to get. You don't want to be potentially staring at 1-5 with Kent State licking their chops, making sure you're 1-5 and then the cellar. And that's just speaking to how quickly things change in the MAC. Mm-hmm. Miami of Ohio is a team that could be pretty good, compete for the division. They could also start the year 1-5.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just that's just the parity of the MAC. They could. I think I have them going. I think I have them starting 3-2,
3-2,
I believe. And again, they could go into that Kent State game going 1-5, and going that Kent State being 1-5. I don't think Kent State is necessarily going to overlook them, but they're going to be like, all right, we're better than these guys. We played Georgia, we played Oklahoma, we played Washington, we played these defenses that are light years better than Miami of Ohio's defense. We're going to beat them, and I don't think that's a mentality you want Kent State going into the game with.
Yeah, Kent State seeing a 1-4 Miami Ohio team on their schedule, they would make sure that they kick them while they're down and get them to 1-5. As for MACtion, you have 3 showdowns there. November 8th on a Tuesday against Ohio, that significant battle. Wednesday, November 16th at Northern Illinois, and then Tuesday, November 22nd versus Ball State. They have plenty of pieces that I'm really stoked for, but the question marks on defense are real, and then the schedule is scary, man. It's a nightmarish schedule. There's that potential 1-5 start. I think a 6-win season is fair to predict here, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the number's at 6.5, so
right on it.
I think it's going to come down to that Buffalo game, and it could come down to the Northwestern game, honestly, because I think they'll beat Ball State, they'll beat Ohio, they'll win those games, and then again the Kent State game. It just 6.5 is we weren't happy with Vegas for the 5 for Kent State. 6.5 is all the money for Miami.
It really is. Let's talk about those Bobcats of Ohio.
Woof. Yeah, like I said before,
woof.
Yeah, Ohio. I think they're a few years removed from the title appearance with Nathan Rourke.
The legend.
But yeah, he was incredible. His brother, not too great. They weren't good last year. I don't see them getting better. Curtis Rourke he's accurate, not a strong arm. He threw for 250 only twice last year, which isn't great, especially if you're in the MAC and you're trying to solidify yourself as the starter. Again, I think Parker Navarro will be the starting quarterback come mid-season. So when you're watching MACtion, look out for Navarro running the ball. Their out of conference schedule isn't awful, honestly. They got the 2 tough ones in Penn State, on Iowa State. If Penn State loses to Ohio, I'm going to crawl into a hole and never come out of it. But I think Penn State should beat the Bobcats pretty handedly. FAU and Fordham. You got to. They lost to Duquesne last year. That's bad.
Inexcusable.
Fordham, yeah, you cannot lose to Duquesne. Like Minnesota can't lose to Bowling Green. Ohio cannot lose to Duquesne. And Fordham is probably at Duquesne's level. Fordham might be a little bit of a better team than Duquesne. You can't lose to Fordham. You lose to Fordham, your season's a wash. Yeah, you can just chalk that up as a season very early on. But yeah, I have them 1-3 in a MAC play, giving them the Fordham game. And then after that, their schedule is not kind to them in MAC play, which you can get on to when later. But yeah, I have them winning 3 games.
Yeah, it's truthfully sad for me because I love rooting for so many of these teams, but they've been consistent for so long. And then you go 3-9 last year, just such a disappointment. like we have to understand the circumstances that they found themselves in, having to replace Solich in the summer of 2021. 2022 is a big year for Tim Albin to show that he could steer the ship in the right direction. Nathan Rourke, man, aka Air Canada, was a beloved legend at OU. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, like Dave has said 3,000 times today, Curtis is not it. He hasn't been able to live up to these sky high expectations. Unfortunate circumstances for him as well is that he's been having to split time at quarterback plenty with Rodgers last year, especially. If Dave is right and is predicting Navarro steps in, competes for that job too, Curtis is, again, finding himself in a spot where he's having to play plenty, but he knows he's not the guy, and that's not something that's good for your mental at all. Also, 7 interceptions can't happen again. Curtis has to take care of the ball a lot more. You also have to find a new RB1 on offense, who's probably going to be O'Shawn Allison. He scampered for 6.3 YPC and 6 touchdowns in 2019, but that didn't do much in 2020 and 2021. Like, all right. Can he return to that 2019 form? Can he provide a much-needed spark to this team? That's going to be something to keep an eye on. Adding more salt to the wound is at receiver. They haven't had a dependable WR1 since Poppy White. Another just spectacular MAC legend. They haven't found it since Poppy White, man. Will it be? And now he left the program in the 2018 season, by the way.
Yeah.
So 19, 20, 21, they haven't found it yet. Golly.
Yeah,
Will
tough.
it be Tyler Walton or Miles Cross at receiver? My prediction is that they'll get contribution from someone that we don't know anything about yet. I do not know who will contribute most at receiver. For all I know, they're playing like Warzone right now, and we don't have a single thought about them, man. Love to see this, though. 9 stars return on defense. They have a bunch of super senior experience as well. They did have one of the worst defenses last year, but you just got to learn. You can't surrender 30.3 points per game again. I think Roman Parodi is a stud. He's shown plenty of promise. He's actually one of the younger players on the defense. I think he has to step up into a leadership role as just a redshirt sophomore this upcoming season. He's that good. He's had 2 interceptions and 5 passes defended to go with 23 tackles. I would buy stock in Roman Parodi. I think he's going to really see a career boost. Trajectory is going to go up. Schedule, man. Host FAU, road games with Penn State and Iowa State, looking 0-3 in the eye. You have to beat Fordham. If you lose to an FCS opponent again and you start 0-4, I would surrender your remaining games and practice I would practice every day until the 2023 season begins. Like, what are we doing, Ohio? As for Maction, they play on 4 Tuesday games in November. First, Buffalo, at Miami of Ohio, at Ball State, first Bowling Green. Despite how bleak things look, I think that they'll win some games that maybe we're not expecting. You say 3, I'll say 4.
Yeah, I think their total is 3.5 or 4. I lost, but yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting season for them. Neither of us are high on them, but
no.
Yeah.
That does conclude for the East here, though. And I think the thing to take away is Kent State is #good at football.
Yes, sir. Golden Flashes. It's gonna be them and the Red Hawks of Miami, Ohio. This can be a great game. I'm gonna mark my calendar.
Good. Those listening should as well. Let's get into the West. We start with Ball State, who crushed it in 2020 and regressed in 2021.
They beat the Tyree Jackson and Jarrett Patterson-led Buffalo Bulls in the MAC championship, and I lost a lot of money on that game. So last year, they were right. I mean, they were a MAC team. They won 6 games? 6 games, right?
6 and 7 in 2021. Just hated to see them fall down.
Yeah. They were solid last year. Drew Plitt was all right. He was a pretty solid MAC quarterback. And running back Carson Steele, he was a freshman last year. He was very solid in conference play. But Plitt's gone. John Paddock's been waiting in the wings for a little bit. He's going to be the starter. They just have to stick to the run, pretty much. Just ground and pound with this offense. if you want to win some games. The issue is that, you can't run a young running back into the ground because nobody's Lou Nichols. Only Lou Nichols can do that.
It's a law.
Yeah, it's you just like Steele's very solid, but you can't just keep running them. You got to. I don't know much about their running back depth. You probably do more than I do, but yeah, I have them winning 5 games. I have them going a game less because they're out of conference. They should win the 2 against Murray. Georgia Southern. That's good. That's a nice little MAC Fun Belt game.
It is.
That's a good one. I think they'll win that one. So they'll win 2 in a row. They're going to lose to Tennessee because they're just going to get blown out by them. And then I just kind of have them splitting 2 and 3, 3 and 2, and then finishing with 5 wins, which another at 5.5. Vegas has them at. I think that's right on the money again. But I got to go under at 5 just because of the uncertainty at quarterback. And, I don't really know how Paddock's going to play.
Yeah, John Paddock has completed just 24 34 passes for 180 yards in his career. He's also a redshirt senior.
Yeah. Yep.
Like he's
waiting forever. And, I don't know. Split was good, but, yeah, it's –
for those listening, just envision this guy sitting on the bench, going in practice week after week, where he knows he's never going to get the opportunity, but he just dreams of finally getting the start a game, finally it being his time. John Paddock is living out his Ball State dream this year, man. This is his storybook season. I would love to see if John Paddock was able to put up absurd numbers this year and be one of the better quarterbacks in the conference. It would be one of the best stories in the country. I want to see. I know nothing about him. Yeah, I want to see him dominate.
That's all I know, that he's just been waiting. He must be a good guy in the locker room to have around. He must love being at Ball State if he never transferred or left or anything.
He must love Muncie, Indiana. Like, what?
Yeah, he's getting the keys.
Finally. But make no jokes about it, dude. I like Carson Steele a lot. I loved what he did, thriving as a true freshman. I'll make another guarantee. He might be the most beloved player in MACtion play this November. He has long, luxurious blonde hair that college football fans are going to fall in love with. I love Steele, dude. You love Lou Nichols. I love Steele. I know he's not near at the same level. He's just a fun dude to root for. I love his receiving ability as well. He had 12 grabs for 157 and a touchdown. He bolted for 891 yards and 6 touchdowns on 192 carries last year. He's just really fun to watch. He's got that grit. He's got that speed. Seeing his long blonde hair flow in the wind as he's running for a 40-yard touchdown it's so fun. I think he's a definite MACtion legend for the foreseeable future. I can't wait to see him play in the MAC in 2025 as an extra year senior.
Yeah. Once Lou leaves me, I'll be a big Carson Steele guy.
You need to. And it hurts greatly when you lose a player as talented as Pora as the ever so versatile Justin Hall at receiver. But Ja'Shawn Jackson and Johannes Tyler return. Those two combined for 118 and 1,316 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. I like both of them. I think Ja'Shawn Jackson's a dang good receiver too. You return every piece of that O-line as well. The success of the offense weighs on what John Paddock is. We don't know what he is. Dude, you're the biggest mystery in the conference, man.
Hope he lights it up. I really do.
I do, man. Can he play at a high enough level to give Ball State a chance in the West? Because we probably not, but it'd be so cool.
The top 3 teams are just way too good, I think.
Yeah, I also love Tyler Stockton at defensive coordinator. He is fantastic. He's a rising star in the sport. No surprise that he's already been a Broyles nominee twice. You look at him as a guy that probably gets poached for a potential head coaching job or a higher level defensive coordinator job after the season. But the star of the defense is Clay and Cole. 6'3", 235-pound linebacker with good speed and extreme strength. He racked up 104 total tackles, 5.5 tackles for the last 2 sacks, 2 interceptions in 2021. He really does it all. I expect a big boost in his production and another important season for Cole. You open up the year with that difficult stretch at Tennessee, but then they host UConn. You're hosting UConn in October, man. Like that might be as Mac as it gets with UConn.
Super duper weird.
Yeah. As for conference play, 4 Tuesday games in November at Kent State, at Toledo versus Ohio, at Miami of Ohio. With how quickly things could change in the MAC, I wouldn't count Ball State out because I do like their pieces a lot. But again, John Paddock, are you a guy? Are you him? We'll find out in 2 months, 3 months. Like, we'll see. I think this team makes a bowl game, though. And again, Stockton is as good as gone. He's a rising star. Time for the chips. Central Michigan, fire up chips.
I love the chips. I really do. Again, like I've been saying this entire show, I love Lou Nichols and I love Daniel Richardson. I just think they're 2 of the best players in the conference. Losing Pimpleton hurts. We talked about that before. Pimpleton was electric. Is absolutely awesome. But, I mean, you have the best running back in the conference. You have arguably, if not, you could say he's top 3. You could say he's the best quarterback in the conference.
Top 3, I think is fair.
Yeah. And you also, I think, have the best head coach in McElwain. So Lou Nichols is going to win another rushing title. They're just, I have them, their totals at 7.5. And I love the chips. I have them winning 9 games, which way over 7.5. Oklahoma State, South Alabama, Bucknell, and Penn State. Oklahoma State, again, tough going to Stillwater. Can't chalk it up as a win. I think they'll beat South Alabama. Who's their quarterback is the Eastern Michigan transfer. Somebody transferred out of the MAC. No, he went to Cincinnati. Somebody transferred out of the MAC to South Alabama. 1 second,
I'm blanking, but I know Desmond Trotter is competing for someone with that.
Carter Bradley from Toledo.
Yes, Carter Bradley.
Carter Bradley, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I love Central Michigan. I loved them last year. I love them again this year. So I have them going 9-3. I have them starting 2-2 and then finishing the year 7-1. Toledo and Northern Illinois. It's going to come out of the Northern Illinois game. It really is for that division. I think they're better. I think Northern Illinois, we'll talk about them in a little bit, but I think they're due for a bit of regression. But yeah, I'm very high on the chips this year.
And it's crazy to think about. In 2018, they won 1 game. They were 1-11. The Jim McElwain era enters year 4 with high hopes after that 9-4 season in 2021. They won 7 of their last 8 games in 2021, and their one loss was by 1 point to Northern Illinois. Like, the chips are good.
Come out of the title game. They're very good.
The thing that worries me there, though, is all those close games. Like, it's hard to replicate winning close games. You don't know how that coin's going to bounce, if it's going to be heads or tails. That is tough, but, man, Lou Nichols III, the engine that powers what was a high-powered offense in 2021. His breakout campaign took the college football world by storm. 1,848 rushing yards, 16 rush touchdowns, 341 carries. I'm making a bold prediction for him later in this show. Be tuned for that.
I have one for him too.
Yeah, he even collected 40 catches for 338 yards. He's a beast with the determination and drive to put the team on his back. He's tough to tackle. And one thing he has is the juice. He's got that juice, man. A true action legend that is even more than that. He's beloved amongst, NFL draft evaluators too, I'm sure. I can't wait to see what the future holds for him. And then, again, Daniel Richardson is arguably the most underrated player in the conference. Mm-hmm. Kid is dang good. He broke out in 2021 by throwing for 2.6K yards on 191 of 316, 24 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, makes really nice throws that help the receiver keep moving as opposed to ever slowing down and having to adjust. I think he improves even more this season. Him and Lou Nichols on the same team, on the MAC team, really isn't fair. A lot of defense coordinators have nightmares of those two. Golly, that's nasty, man.
They're awesome.
They're electric.
Yeah,
it's the one word to use in the MAC.
They're legitimately I truly think they're a good football team. They're going to be awesome this year again.
What's tough is losing Luke Goedke and Bernard Ryman to the NFL and your O-line. The receiving room needs a revamp as well because Khalil Pimpleton and his outstanding skills are gone. Ja'Cory Sullivan, he departs as well after 10 touchdowns last year, so we got to find out who's going to break out receiver. I identified Dallas Dixon, who hauled in 45 for 701, 8 touchdowns in 2021. And then you've got to identify another breakout receiver or two that we don't know about yet. I love Joel Wilson at tight end, though. He broke out last year. Expect him to thrive once again. The defense has stud players depart too. I'm most excited for Dante Kent, though. Redshirt sophomore will be one of the leaders on the defense, 5'11" corner, extreme athletic skills, 2 interceptions in his career, showed up big time with 14 passes defended in 2021. I would look for Dante Kent. I would look straight up. You at home, look for Dante Kent. Go tweet right now. Dante Kent's a good football player. That way in October, you could be like, Hey, friend number 1, friend number 2. I told you Dante Kent was going to be really good. We'll give you all the credit if you tweet it out, man. Like, you got that. Whatever. Look out for him, though, for real. Schedule, Oklahoma State. That's fun. Just knowing what happened a few years ago.
Right now. Yeah, that's a great rematch.
It is. The program's history, they have split. It's raining outside in Vegas. What on earth? I didn't expect to see that. Whatever, though, Central Michigan and Oklahoma State are 1-1 against each other in the program's history. Oklahoma State wants revenge after what happened in 2016. Do not let them get it. Come on, Chips.
Come on. Lou's going to run for 300.
Let's go. They make a tough trip to Penn State as well. You need to be at that game. Like, you need to be at that game wearing a shirt that says "I love Lou Nichols."
Yeah, I gotta go to one. Either it's Central Michigan or Ohio. One of them I gotta make a trip. I'm gonna wear my Penn State jersey, my match shirt underneath.
You wear a Penn State beanie or hat, and then you wear a Lou Nichols' "I love Lou Nichols" shirt. That's a W too.
Lou Nichols has got some nice merch that I'm gonna buy.
Also, you wear that, you're guaranteed to get on TV for being the weirdo.
Oh, 100%. I'm probably gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make it the profile picture on my Twitter too. All right.
And then what's it called? In Maxon play, they play on Wednesday 3 times after. In the Friday contest at Eastern Michigan. The Wednesday games are at Northern Illinois. Must watch. First Buffalo and versus Western Michigan. Huge for them. They dodged both Miami of Ohio and Kent State from the East. How did CMU get that? That's crazy.
That's the best poll they could have gotten.
Yeah, the unfortunate side that they draw Toledo and Northern Illinois on the road, but that's a fair trade. That's a very fair trade. I think 8 wins is a fair number to predict here. I'd love to see 9. I'll go with 8, though. And we'll get to talking about Eastern Michigan. Maybe we keep this one quicker because we've talked a bunch about others. I don't know. It's hard to keep these quick, though.
Yeah, it's hard because there's so much. And
it's the best conference. What?
Eastern Michigan, they put up points when they were on. But Ben Bryant went back to Cincinnati. He went Cincinnati to Eastern Michigan, back to Cincinnati. Again, like we said about Badun, Badun's awesome. They got 4 starting linemen back. But then again, their issue is going to be quarterback. I think Taylor Powell will get the job, but Taylor Powell couldn't get the job in Missouri. Couldn't get the job at Troy. He gets the job at Eastern Michigan. Will he be able to find success? I mean, if he's throwing the ball to Badun and Badun gets open, you just got to get him the ball. The uncertainty of quarterback worries me. I think the offense will be fine. Defense it's all right. I mean, it's a MAC defense. No one's really going to shut anybody down. But yeah, to go on to the schedule, non-conference opponents, Louisiana Lafayette, Eastern Kentucky, Arizona State, and UMass, which is probably the easiest non-conference schedule out of any MAC team, I'd say.
It really kind of is.
Yeah, it's I think they split it though. I think Louisiana Lafayette's very good. They were good last year. They could have a down year. Eastern Michigan could steal that game. Who knows?
ULL is going to be disgusting.
Yeah, again. I haven't done my Fun Belt research. I love this. I love the Fun Belt. Yes. I've done my research. But yeah, so all right. So that's
the Sun Belt preview I'm on. ULL might only lose one game all season. In the regular season. We're cut out for them in the title.
You got to beat Eastern Kentucky. You got to beat UMass. You lose either of those games, done. Season's over. And then again, you could give them a split 4-4. You could give them. I have them going 3-5 in conference play. I've been beating Akron, Western Michigan, Ball State. They're at 6.5, which I think is pretty high. I've been, doing my MAC research. People are very high on this Eastern Michigan team. I don't really see the hype when you have Central Michigan, Toledo, and Northern Illinois in that division. It's tough. That's 6.5. I have them winning 5. I think they could win 6. 7's a bit of a stretch for me.
I think it's kind of cool that not only does the Eastern Michigan football team have a disgusting, trio at receiver, but the basketball team has a lot to be excited about with the duo of Imani Bates and Noah Farrakhan. Maybe everyone is mixing up where their hype is for this Eastern Michigan athletics though.
Yeah.
The hype should maybe be on basketball, not so much football. But again, the offense projects to be super fun. Hassan Beydoun, Dylan Drummond, Tanner New. That's one of the premier receiving rooms in the country. That's 3 very, very good receivers led by Beydoun, receptions hog. Grabbed 97 catches in 2021. Can he hit 100? I think he can. He consistently makes good plays and good things happen when the ball is in his hands. As long as Powell could get those 3 to rock, EMU is going to succeed offensively. The defense has to improve, man. 5 starters return, and they desperately need to improve this unit. I do like David Carter Jr. at corner a lot. He balled out in a minimal role as a redshirt freshman in 2021. If he gets more playing time, which he should, look out, his play's going to speak for itself. The schedule, again, roadies to ULL and ASU highlight non-conference. You're probably looking at 0-2 there. Maybe you could – I would say Arizona State's more likely to catch off guard than ULL. ULL's just too dependable. Yeah, they're too solid. They're too good.
Arizona State's a mess right now.
Yeah, they are. Action play, you get a Tuesday game at Akron. Sick. Wednesday at Kent State, Friday versus CMU. That might be the best action schedule in the country. In the conference, obviously. Basically. Pac-12 teams aren't playing action slates, whatever, though. At Akron, at Kent State for Central Michigan is so fun. You have 2 sickos games, and then you have 2 electric matchups where so many points are going to be scored. The schedule's dang hard, man. You get Buffalo, Northern Illinois, Toledo, and Central Michigan at home somehow, so that's a positive to take away. Chris Creighton's EMU teams have overachieved in the past. Can they do it again? You're saying there's a lot of positivity buzzing around this program. I love the offense. What can I say, though?
Yeah. I mean, I just think that 6.5, excuse me. Tough.
I was laid under for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go to Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois. What a storybook run by my guy, Thomas Hammock. I love Thomas Hammock. I think he's awesome. I think he brings so much energy to that program. They were the worst team in the conference, and they won the championship last year. It was incredible. They're a ton of fun to watch. I think they'll be a ton of fun again. But the issue is Rocky Lombardi. Rocky Lombardi is not the best thrower of the football. He wasn't a very good thrower of the football at Michigan State, and he hasn't really improved. He just played worse competition. Not that the MAC is bad competition. I'm just saying that it's different than playing Michigan and Ohio State. I think defenses can figure him out and just kind of drop back and, confuse him a little bit. But if he gets better, then who knows? They could win a division again and make another run. But I don't know how he's going to perform. He's again, the offense is going to be dependent on how good he is because the rest of that team is very good. They got some weird out of conference games. Eastern Illinois, Tulsa, Vandy, Kentucky. They could go 3-1 in those, I think. I was little pessimistic. I have them going 2-2, but then again, that division comes down to the game against Central Michigan. I could see them losing to Miami, Ohio. I could see them beating Miami, Ohio. I have them at 8-4, 6-2 in the conference. They're at 6.5, which I think is pretty low for them. I think that's a kind of more of like a Kent State line. I think they'll get 7-8 wins pretty easily. But yeah, I'm very high on Hammock's Huskies over 6.5 and second place in the division.
Yeah, so they went 0-6 in 2020. Unthinkably went 9-5 in 2021. Won the MAC title. Inspiring job from Thomas Hammock. So happy for what he was able to do. It's a unique situation in 2022. They returned 17 starters from a team that won 7 games by 1 score. How quickly things change in the MAC. Are they going to be able to win so many close games? Are they going to be able to figure it out? Who knows? We'll find out. Rocky Lombardi played well enough to win in his first year at NIU, but we have to see significant progression from him. 15-8 TDI and T ratio is not cutting it. You can't gush over 58.3 completion rate either. Needs to see a sharp rise there. I think a massive loss is at running back and Javon Ducker, who's gone to Memphis. That kid was a monster as a redshirt freshman. I thought he was going to be a workhorse back there for years to come. He's not. Harrison Whaley and Ontario Brown will be splitting the load in the upcoming season. I like both backs and confident in their abilities. I love Ontario Brown, though. I would love to see him get the bulk of the load. And how can you not love what they have at receiver? Colt Tucker is a really good WR2 for a MAC team. WR1, Maction Man, Trayvon Rudolph is a luxury. They lucked into this former walk-on being an absolute star who probably transfers to a better program after this season. If we weren't in the transfer portal era, it'd be so fun to think about how good Northern Illinois is going to be in 2023 and 2024 with all the absolute talent that they had on this roster and unfortunately lost. Rudolph exploded for 892 and 7 touchdowns on 51 catches last year. He broke out with that back-to-back game stretch against Central Michigan and Kent State. He put up 160 and 2 touchdowns against CMU on 6 catches. Somehow followed that up with 14 for 309 and 3. Like crazy. He's a burner that has a knack for being defenses over the top, but also wreaks plenty of havoc over the middle of the field. He's just a stupendous talent that is one of my favorite players in the conference. You return arguably the top O-line in the league as well. Massive news there. On defense, you need to have improvement, though. They surrendered 33.7 points per game. If I'm not mistaken, they gave up more points than they scored. It's a very weird 9-5 dream season that they had. It kind of fluky is a word that you could say, but all 11 starters returned to try and fix what was one of the problems of a very good team. I look at Jaden Dolphin, all name team, because again, last name is Dolphin. Yeah. That's nuts. And Jordan Gandy to have good seasons. They'll play at Tulsa and at Kentucky. They host Vandy. We Sharpie that in as a win. In MAC in November, they play 3 Wednesday games versus CMU, at WMU, and versus Miami of Ohio. The huge game to me is a tilt versus Toledo on October 8th. I think that's a massive game that I cannot understate.
Got Toledo and Central Michigan at home. That's huge.
It is. I don't see NIU regressing big time, but I don't see them winning the division either. I say 7 or 8 wins, and I call it a success regardless.
Yep. Take that over 6.5, everybody.
All right. Time to talk about the Rockets of Toledo, Dave.
So, yeah, Toledo always in talks for winning division and winning the conference. Glass Bowl is a beautiful arena. One day I will go. But, yeah, it's going to be the Dequan Finn show, like you've said. I'm very excited about him. He has just he's a talented guy. He's electric. As we've said 85 times in the show, it's about electricity in the MAC, and he's a dual threat guy, and he can run, and he's got a very strong arm. He's very high ceiling, but as good as he can be, being one of the best he could be one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best, most fun players to watch. But can the entire team follow him and be as good as they want to be? I don't know if they'll get there. It's just that the West, it's just loaded. I feel like it's loaded, and it's the MAC, and you can't really go into it as Toledo had not where you want to be last year. It could happen again. I mean, they start the season with LIU. That's a win. To talk about LIU, UMass win, Ohio State, that's a loss. And then going to San Diego State is a tough task for them at a conference. I don't know if they'll win that game. I don't have them winning it. And then again, the home game against Central Michigan is going to be absolutely huge. They could win that game, but then they have to go to NIU, which I think hurts them. That gauntlet, Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, Kent State, not who you want to play 3 times in a row. Not at all. And then to end the year, Buffalo, EMU, Ball State, Bowling Green, Western Michigan. 7.5 is their total. I think that's high. I have them going barely under 7. And they could win 8 games. I think they could get over, but that's a close one. That's a no bet for me, but I have them winning 7 games.
All right, man. I think Toledo boasts a bunch of talent yet again, and they've underachieved in years past. It's time for Jason Candle to finally succeed in a huge way. You can't essentially throw another season away by not hitting, your goals. Like, you gotta get there, man. Dequan Finn's the man at quarterback, electric dual threat with absurd playmaking ability and lethal speed. He boasted a touchdown interception ratio of 18-2 in 2021, rushed for 502 and 9 touchdowns as well. I expect a massive step in his development and truly believe that he'll be the most talked about player in the MAC this year. I think he might end up being the best player in the conference as well. You have to replace Bryant Koback at running back, though. That's a huge loss. Not someone that you could actually really replace. So Finn's legs are going to need to help a lot. And Micah Kelly and Jaquez Stewart will share the bulk of RB carries at receiver. Devin Maddox will need to see an uptick in production. He's improved each year in his career. He'll be the unanimous WR1 at the start of the season. Optimal that other receivers step up, though. Jamal Turner at tight end, someone I identify as an athletic freak that could very well be a breakout candidate for this Rockets offense. You returned 4 starters on the O-line as well. That's cool. On defense, they were spectacular in 2021. They allowed just 4.8 yards per play and only gave up 21.8 points per game. They returned 8 defensive starters and both experience everywhere on that side of the ball. Jamal Hines crushed it off the edge last year with a big 15 tackles for loss and 9.5 sacks, even 8 passes defended as well. The secondary loses Tyson Anderson and Samuel Womack to the NFL draft. Quinyon Mitchell, the guy to know at corner, definite breakout candidate. I like his game a lot. Look, man, you've got an offense I project to have a huge step up in progression. I think they're going to crush it on offense. You have a defense that returns so much. So I expect big things for the Rockets in 2022. As for that schedule, man, how on earth are you playing at Ohio State and at San Diego State with the stretch after of versus CMU at NIU versus Kent State at Buffalo? That's so bad. That's the only reason that I get scared for Toledo in 2022. It's the only reason. God, I'm so high on this team. I truly am. In Maction play, they play 2 Tuesday games and a Friday game. Ball State and Bowling Green are at home on Tuesdays, at Western Michigan on Friday. I'm just going to say it. I think that they're going to weather the storm. I'm ready for Toledo to get back to the top. You got to be bold at some point when you're talking about conference previews. You got to be a little outlandish. Not sure how many others are this large on Toledo like me. Dequan Finn could take this team to the promised land. 8 or 9 wins in the regular season for Toledo.
I think it's going out there. Actually didn't agree on something.
It might be. I think Toledo shocks a lot of people.
Yeah, I just think that's the hardest schedule in the conference to me.
It is.
And it's such a gauntlet going through. That's a stretch of just 5 ridiculous games. And it's just going to be tough. I mean, I think they could just, again, 7.5, right on the money. But yeah, I'm no bet for me. Like I said, I could see them winning 8, but I think it's going to be 7 or 8.
I just think real quickly with what I believe Dequan Finn will be combined with how great their defense is and what they return. I just expect such big things from Finn, man. But we'll go on to Western Michigan. Let's go quickly here since we've had a long episode.
Yeah, it's a long one, but it's worth it. Best conference there is. So, yeah, we're kind of ending the team previews, for me at least, on a very somber note. Western Michigan's a big wah-wah for me. They went 8-5 last year. I might have misspoke later when I asked how many games they won, but I have it here. They won 8-5 last year with that absolutely stacked offense. Caleb Ellaby, Sky Moore. They were the favorites to win the conference. And last year they went 8-5, and they came in the last place in the West at 4-4 in conference play because of how the head-to-heads lined up. So I just don't see how you go from projecting to be the best team in the conference by far to being disappointing 8-5, finishing 4-4 in the conference, and then coming back and having that good of a year with all this uncertainty that the Broncos have. I have them coming in last place in the division in the West. I have them going 4-8 and going 2-6, putting them at under 6.5 wins. I think, to me, that's pretty easy. I just think that there's better. I just think teams are better than them. They could steal some wins for sure. Let's start off with the out of conference. Michigan State is brutal. Ball State early is weird. They could win that game. I think they'll lose to Pitt. I don't see them. I don't see them beat. It's a worse Pitt team, but it's also a worse Western Michigan team. San Jose State, they should beat. I don't know if they will. I think it's just going, again, these MAC teams going to the West Coast is tough. It's a lot. New Hampshire, they'll beat. They don't beat New Hampshire very bad. And then they could steal one from Eastern Michigan. They could beat Ohio. And then I have them winning 4 games? I think I could be wrong here. They could win 5. It's an underplay for me, but let me do this right here. Let's say 2. Yeah, I mean, they could win 5. They could win 5 or 6 games, honestly. But they just play in the superior division. Yeah, exactly. They play these very good teams, but 6.5 is too high. That's a firm under. That's a play for me. That's an under 6.5. It's just a tough schedule. Out of conference isn't bad, honestly. Outside of Michigan State, they could win 3 of those games, but then you're in the superior division, and it's going to be tough. And especially when you have so much uncertainty, you don't know who your quarterback's going to be. You don't know who's going to be the main guy. It's going to be an interesting year for them for sure. Yeah, they have so much talent that they have to replace from last year's Poland offense. Caleb Ellaby, Sky Moore, Jalen Hall, all left. 3 starters from the O-line are gone as well. The 3-man quarterback race between Jack Solopek, Marion Herbrowski, and Stone Hollenbach. Herbrowski is really the only one I know much about. He's more of a bigger running the ball quarterback that they used with quarterback power a lot. Like, that's what you get with him. Whoever wins the job has Shaq-sized shoes to fill. Yeah. But these aren't big shoes to fill. They're Shaq shoes.
I love Corey Crooms at receiver. I think he's got an NFL future. I just don't really trust any of these guys to get him the ball and let him cook like he truly can. Love the running back duo with Sean Tyler and Ladarius Jefferson. 7 starters return on a solid defense. Corbin Moment at middle linebacker is a star. He is truly a dominant force. With the schedule, you're going to see a Friday night road game versus Michigan State to open the year. They go to San Jose State, like Dave said. Western Michigan also hosting Pitt after beating them last year. You're probably going to get embarrassed in your own place this year, unfortunately. Sorry, Kalamazoo. In action play, you get Wednesday contests at Bowling Green versus NIU and at CMU. It concludes when they host Toledo on the Friday. It's tough to predict, because I literally can't tell you anything about the quarterbacks aside from Hrabowski being a tank in the running game. I think 4 wins is fair to predict.
Yeah, it's just hard to give them any. They could win. I think they could go as high as 6. I think 4 is the right number.
I think 6.5 is a fantastic under bet, like you said.
Yeah, that's a great under bet, I think.
And let's predict the conference championship game and winner very quickly.
So, 2 teams I'm super high on. Chippewas, Golden Flash. It's going to be Central Michigan and Kent State. This is the MAC title game of my dreams. It really is. This is going to be must-watch TV. I think everybody should watch it. I might have a watch party for it. I don't know. But it's going to be a great game. It's going to be offenses, 2 different offenses just flying around. I want Lou Nichols to get one. I really, really do in my heart of hearts. But I think that Colin Schilly and the Kent State offense is going to be way too much. And I think at plus 800, Kent State is your MAC champion.
What are the odds on Toledo to win it?
Toledo, let me pull it up.
What are the odds on the old Rockets?
Because what I'm doing is that I'm taking Central Michigan plus 380 because they have the best odds. And that's just kind of like my play. And then my value play, which I'm going to give out to everybody, is Kent State plus 800 because that's put $30 on it, and plus 800 is way too low.
Also, too, make sure to watch Dave and I react to Maction games in November. We're going to live stream that. We love this conference so much. While Dave looks for the odds on Toledo to win the conference, I trust that Rockets defense so much. I know Dequan Finn is going to tear it up, so I'm taking Toledo to beat Kent State in the championship game.
Plus 400, second best odds.
Plus 400. All right.
You're getting a good. Even the favorite, Central Michigan, is plus 380, which I think is just great odds for a favorite. You're getting long odds for any of these teams. Central Michigan plus 380, Toledo plus 400, Miami, Ohio plus 425. I don't agree with. Northern Illinois plus 600, then Kent State plus 800.
Kent State, without a doubt, the best value.
Yeah, I think that's the best value you will get, and in my opinion, they're the best team. So that's a must bet.
Yes. Let's go to some award predictions. I'll start with my coach of the year, Kent State, Sean Lewis. Also Dave.
Sean Lewis, coach of the year. Book it.
All right, player of the year.
Offensive player of the year. This is a layup. It's Lou Nichols. He's going to win it again because I just think that he, again, is going to be the best offensive player of the year. If I don't do a Lou Nichols pick, I want to say Colin Schilly. If I'm not going to say Colin Schilly, I'm going to say Daniel Richardson. So those would be my 3 picks.
All right. For offensive player of the year, I did go with Lou Nichols the third. Who'd you go for at defensive player of the year?
I went with James Patterson from Buffalo. I think he had 114 tackles last year, something like that. I think he's going to be a monster again this year on this new and improved Buffalo team. I have them winning six games, getting to a bowl game. I think his play is a huge, huge part of that.
The beauty of the MAC that is, even if you're at the bottom, you could be recognized for your great work. So my defensive player of the year is Western Michigan's Corbin Moment. And my player of the year is Dequan Finn of Toledo.
Yeah, player of the year for me would be Colin Schilly.
Respect that. Those are our award predictions. Let's move on to some quick fire hot takes and bold predictions, because if you're still listening to this, you need to get out of here. We need to get out of here too. We've been here for a long time. You go. Okay, my first bold prediction, Sean Lewis gets hired by a Power 5 school after this season. His offense is just it's too intriguing not to bet on at the next level.
Yeah. So, I mean, mine was similar, not Sean Lewis. I think McElwain leaves, goes back to a Power 5 job. Whether it be, I don't know, it's going to be a lower level Power 5 job, but I think McElwain returns to Power 5.
A November Maction game has 105 points scored in it.
That is minimum. My actual dream. That's my dream.
At minimum 105.
I said this before, hot take. I'm taking it. Akron wins 3 games, goes over 2.5, and I rejoice.
Lou Nichols III runs for 270 plus yards in a single game.
I have Lou Nichols III get some Heisman votes.
W.
I think that he'll run for enough and he had a monster year last year. I think he'll be even better this year, and he's not going to get first place votes, but I think he'll be in the top 10 and he'll get some. He'll be on the list for sure.
All right, that concludes our MAC preview. I hope you all enjoyed the absolute chaos that we've talked about. The electricity. We talked more about electricity and electricity. Oh man, this conference is super fun. Please make sure to like and comment on this video, possibly subscribe as well, and watch some MAC football this year. You will not regret it. It truly is one of the best conferences to watch. The unpredictability is what helps make college football. And yeah, thank you again for watching.